Hi, this is Chelle of Chelle's Creations, and today I want to show you one of my favorite tricks for tweaking the Anchors Away alphas. You'll notice that there are three alphas in this set, a light blue one, a navy one, and a red one. And I like the different variety. The blue is light and can be adjusted to be several light colors, like a lavender. The red is kind of a medium tone and can be adjusted for medium colors, like a purple. And the navy is dark and can be adjusted to be some dark colors, like a dark brown or maybe even a deep royal purple. So I have this layout prepared and it's ready for my title. So I'm going to show you how I can use the Anchors Away title for it. As you can see, it doesn't really tie in color-wise with the Anchors Away alphas, but let's go ahead and add it in. I think the color I'm going to go for here is the gold, or kind of yellow gold, of the rope that's on the zip line. And so I'm going to go ahead and use the blue one. In the Anchors Away alpha, I want blue, and I'm just going to spell the word zip. So I need a Z, and an I, and a P, and an exclamation point. You'll notice that all of the lowercase letters up to through U appear alphabetically first, then the uppercase ones, then the rest of the alphabet. If you're looking for those missing 5 or 6 letters, they are after the uppercase. Let's go ahead and open those up. Now this tutorial works in both Photoshop and Photoshop Elements. I'm working in Photoshop right now, but you could do the very same thing in Photoshop Elements. And I want to make sure my top layer is selected so that this alpha ends up on top here. The easiest way for me to get all of those letters on a layout is to use the Speed Scrap script. And if you need details on that, I have another YouTube tutorial on it. It takes all of those letters and just puts them in place. And now I think I'm going to work on arranging them. First up, I want them a little bit smaller, so let's select all of them and shrink the size a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to put them in place. What I had in mind when I spell the word zip is that I want several Z's in a row. Let's put one there. Let's move this one up a little bit and rotate it just a little bit, just so it looks a little bit different. Slightly rotated. We'll give it a different look. And I'm going to put this one behind that one in front of it. And then one more. Let's see about down. Yeah, maybe down, and let's tip this one back this way again. That's probably enough zzz. Now let's go ahead with the zip on the other end. There's the I and the P. Okay, and the exclamation point. Perfect. There's my title ready to go, and I'm going to go ahead and give those all a shadow style for paper. Now that's exactly what I'm looking for, only the wrong color. So let's see what we can do. First up, I want to just show you some adjustments that you can make. So let's open a couple more letters. Let's go ahead and open a blue A, and let's open the red A and play with them just a little bit. Okay, I want to show you that we can achieve that gold color with both of these colors, but why I would choose what I would choose. So let's go ahead. If you are working in Photoshop, I recommend you add an adjustment layer and tweak it that way. If you're working in Photoshop Elements, you don't have the option of that adjustment layer. So if I were working in Photoshop Elements, I would want to adjust the hue saturation. That's under Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. And it'll bring up the hue saturation dialog box. And you just want to, first I adjust the hue so that it's in the right color family. And so as I move it over here, I get to green, and then I get kind of that tan color. And technically tan is the color I'm looking for yellow, but I got to bump up the saturation a long way. There we go. Now you'll notice that it is going to bump up the saturation and adjust the color of the white that is around the outside edge here. But if all of your letters are the same color, that really shouldn't cause you too much of a problem. Okay, we're going to go with, I want a little bit more of a golden orange. I'm going to go with -148, and I want the saturation bumped up, not quite that much, but close to about something like 68. Okay, if you're using Photoshop Elements, make a note of those numbers so that you know what they are. You don't want to adjust every letter separately. You want to keep typing in the same numbers over and over again. If you're doing the same thing in Photoshop, then I would go ahead and just add an adjustment layer, hue saturation. Then you're going to make those same adjustments in your hue saturation dialog box. That's -147, I think it was, and the saturation should be up around 68 to 70. There we go. Okay, so in Photoshop elements, just go ahead and adjust your hue saturation. In Photoshop, the full version of Photoshop, I would make that on a separate layer. It's a little easier to recolor all of them that way. But now I want to show you that we can take the red and accomplish much of the same thing. Let's go ahead and bring up the hue saturation dialog box, only this time we'll be going a different direction. If I go to the left this time I get more pink colors, but you can see that how many different colors you could make this alpha and how fun it would be to play with. Alright, we're going to go this way this time. See, we can go all the way to yellow. A little bit, something like about, I think I'm going to go about 50, but I am going to bump up the saturation on this one also. Let's try bumping it up to about 35. The other adjustment you can make with hue saturation is the lightness. Because of how it changes the whole image, I don't use it very often, but I sometimes will use it as much as 10 to 15, both in lightness and in darkness, and that'll lighten this up just a little bit. That's what I was talking about with the red is medium color, so it's hard to get a light yellow on it. You would need to adjust it substantially, and as you can see, it fades out the whole thing. Okay, so that's kind of how you can adjust them. Let's go back to our original layout and make those adjustments. Let's go ahead and click on the hue saturation, which is Command or Control U, so we'll do that in the future. And if I remember right, our numbers were negative 147 and 68. Okay. Now you have the option, you could merge these together now that they have a shadow on it and just do it once on the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and do it separately on each one. 147, that needs to be negative 68, because frankly it doesn't take that long to bring them each up and do it. Negative 147, then it won't mess with the colors of my shadows. 68. Command or Control U, negative 147, saturation 68. Command or Control U, negative 147, saturation 68. And before we're finished with this, I better show those of you who are using Photoshop why it's quicker to do it with a hue saturation layer. So let's add a new layer, a hue saturation layer, and same numbers, negative 147. Bump the saturation up 68. And we're going to go ahead and clip it to the eye so it just affects that layer. If you are using the full version of Photoshop, you can just go ahead and hold down your Alt key, click on that layer, drag it up above each letter, and clip it to it. So it makes it much faster to make those changes. You also have the option of putting it in groups. Now we have a title that matches our page, and you can see how the Anchors Away alpha could be used in all sorts of situations just by changing the colors. If you have any questions, you can reach me at shells.creations1@gmail.com. See you next time.